your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.
All right, everybody, we are back. If you're listening live, that took just a matter of seconds. If you're listening after the fact, hey, maybe we split this up in post-production, or maybe we didn't. I don't know, but I think we'll do one of each. Maybe we'll split one into Agree to Disagree, which is this program, where we talk about religion, sports, well, religion, politics, finance, all the things you're not supposed to talk about with people inside of a bar. You're allowed to talk sports most of the time. So maybe we'll splice this up in post-production, or we'll keep it together, or both. We just did a show covering all the interesting stuff in NFL football with the Bengals and Vikings snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, 2 improbable losses, and then 2 amazing plays by Alabama on special teams that allowed them to win the national championship yesterday. And as we were doing the show, guess what? Breaking news, it looks like, according to ESPN, or according to sources quoted by ESPN, the Rams are headed back to Los Angeles, and the Chargers have an option to join. So, breaking news, and we're going to check that out and follow that as it develops. Make sure you subscribe, youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. On Twitter, we're at American_media_. On the right-hand side of our homepage of thenewamericanmedia.com is the TNM radio button. That's where you click play to listen to this show live when we broadcast on Twitter and Facebook. On our homepage on the right-hand side is also where you sign up and you link up with our Facebook feed, or you can do a search for The New American Media with spaces in between. So do all of those things. Check out our previous content, including our earlier show from today, and check out just in the past few days, we have some interviews that you can check out. Laura Eisenhower was on yesterday. Larry Elder was on last Friday. Tomorrow we're going to have Ford Fisher from News to Share and the Solutions Institute. He is at the State of the Union right now. He's our guest tomorrow. Then on Thursday we have Adam Kokesh, and on Friday Gerald Salente. So link up with us, check out our archive, leave some comments, and have a good time. We are joined on today's program with Shawn Trustin, criminology professor and fledgling blogger, and Blake the eccentric Walley, who is getting ready to tour the country in a Winnebago, kind of like on the road again, on the road Jack Kerouac. He's going to go out and cover the Iowa Hawkeye, the Hawkeye, and the RNC convention and whatever, whether it's a Bundy Ranch or a Ferguson or a Baltimore, he's mobile and he can go cover this live. So as the next weird thing pops off, you can follow him, and you can follow him on Twitter at eccentric99. Check out his blog at eccentricperspective.com. Gentlemen, where do we start other than the State of the Union? Shawn, it has been 7 years. This is the last one of these we have to sit through. Let's look back on the presidency of Barack Obama. Tell us who this man was to the United States. I know we have a year left, but let's reflect on who he was and the direction he's pushing us during this final year.
Well, it's been said, and I mean, I don't. It's not so likely either. I mean, he could go down as the worst ever. I don't think he is. I think he's in the bottom 3 probably. But
who else is in the top 2? Who else would you put up there?
I think, well, Jimmy Carter and FDR for me for sure that'd be the top 3, and I don't know who would be worse or where.
Woodrow Wilson, perhaps?
Woodrow Wilson was up there for sure too. I mean, that's easily the top 4. It's just a matter of what order you put him in.
Fair enough.
I mean, it's frightening. The only good thing about tonight is, like you said, it's the last one. We don't have to worry about it much longer.
Right.
And I've taken a lot of heat from people for voting third party and saying, well, you're part of the reason that the guy got in, and then you have to explain to him that it wouldn't have been that much different if we had McCain in there, and it surely wouldn't have been that much different if we had Romney in there. So I mean, I guess if people want to blame people that vote third party and things like that, but I've definitely taken a turn to be a libertarian now, and I mean that's kind of who I support. I could see myself with a couple of the Republican nominees. I could consider voting for them, but I mean, you said it before in the open, man. I mean, you're talking about massive, deficits, massive debt, $210 trillion in unfunded liabilities. You can't even comprehend how we're going to begin to even crack away at that. And then to hear some of the, the talking heads when they talk about, again, more war, of course, or even setting up safe zones. I've heard of that in overseas and things like that. Like somehow that's not putting boots on the ground, or that's not being engaged in another country's affairs and things like that. But looking back, I mean, it's been disastrous. It's even worse than I thought it would be, and I expected it to be the worst thing ever, and it's actually worse than that. So the economy's on its back. I mean, there's just nothing. I can't think of anything really positive that's come out of it, other than at least it's let us see what the Democrat and what the progressive left and what Saul Alinsky. I mean, I don't think we would have known what Saul Alinsky was if it wasn't for Obama, so that's a good thing. It's woken people up, which is good, and it's definitely woken me up.
Yeah, that might be it. Blake, take that same question then. What good has come out of the 7 years, and how do you summarize Obama and talk about where you think he's trying to take us in this last year?
Well, I think his only accomplishments maybe winning on a couple of social issues, which is good for certain people, but I don't think is not lighting up the White House in a rainbow flag isn't exactly the biggest accomplishment. But I'm glad some people get to have more rights than they used to. I'm happy for them.
Well,
but,
and Blake, that's
all
something
you accomplish in 8 years.
That's something that happened during his term. It's not like Obama pushed for that. That was a Supreme Court. Yeah, he put people on the Supreme Court. But when you step away and look at it, it's like that he didn't even do that. It's kind of like when you say the economy under Bill Clinton was great, and you go, hang on a second, no. Do you realize that the home desktop computer revolution began under this guy, and he just kind of floated on the wave? He somehow was smart enough not to screw it up, but you can't say one thing about this event occurred under his watch, so it's an accomplishment, if they kind of had nothing to do with it other than Al Gore claiming to have invented the internet. The accomplishment you just listed, Blake, that's not even something that Obama can say, look what I did here. He changed his opinion and it evolved, but he didn't do that.
That's a good point, Brian. I guess I'm trying to give him a little credit for something.
No soup for you. No soup for you. No dice.
Well, here's
Sorry. You're taking it all away, Brian. I'm trying to be nice to our wonderful POTUS.
Right.
One accomplishment that I've seen in all these years is, So I don't. Yeah, you know what? I really don't know what to make of this. It's been a spectacular disaster. The entire administration, and I would say the worst administration ever. Just barely ahead of the Bush-Cheney administration, which I can't. They set the bar as high as you could get. And Obama somehow found a way to make everything worse.
Shawn, you were starting to say?
Well, no, I was going to say the gay marriage thing. That was a good opportunity. At least I took advantage.
Wait, hold on. You're all garbled now. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Wait, which way do we have him? We have Shawn on Skype. Shawn, we're calling you right back. I found with Skype that when it gets wacky, just press pause, redo it. Now, of course, if I had a producer, to borrow a phrase from Hugh Hewitt.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
All right, yeah, we'll try that. I think we can hear you now. You were starting to say, Shawn.
Yeah, I was going to say about the gay marriage ruling. It was a good opportunity for somebody with a libertarian bent or a libertarian like myself to be able to frame the discussion from the standpoint of, wouldn't it be nice to not have to wait for 5 unelected officials to decide, what 2 people can do in the privacy of their own home, kind of thing. It was just fascinating that we're waiting on bated breath for these people that are infallible human beings, of course. I mean, they're just like the rest of us. To watch us have to wait for this weird kind of creepy. Well, is the government going to say it's okay? That I have full advantage that I put up there saying, here's some examples of the Libertarian Party. Look into this.
Man, Shawn, I'm following you, and I like the point you're making, but it's just as garbled. I'm going to try it one more time to try this. This is why I don't even like using Skype. No offense, Skype, but you do this to me, and it's weird. It's tough to... Here, let me...
We got a few bugs. Yep.
Well, it happens.
Right.
Well, hopefully we're okay here.
Oh, I don't know if we are. Say something, Shawn.
All right. Well, good evening, John.
Try it one more time, but you were saying how ridiculous it was that Americans have been reduced to waiting on bated breath whether or not the government will allow us to do something in the privacy of our own damn homes.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. That's the only point was, if the gay marriage ruling, one of the benefits of it was that we got to actually put that information out there that, hey, why are we waiting for, these unelected, judges to decide. It's just such a creepy, weird thing. And what have we sunk to that's where we're at as a nation? I don't know.
We're begging for porridge. So,
yeah, exactly
may I have
right.
some more porridge? Okay, yeah, please. This one's Soylent Green, but it's on me, kiddo. Anyway, so the State of the Union, we'll see where he ranks as the worst president in all of history. I don't know if you guys happen to notice. I'll start with you, Blake, but Kim Davis has been invited, at least as the latest, as far as during show prep. I wasn't able to determine which congressperson left her tickets, but they remained anonymous. What do you make of Kim Davis being there? Because that was she was at the center, the Kentucky law clerk, of course, who did not want to issue same-sex marriages. What do you make of that move?
Okay, yeah, sorry, I lost you on there because I'm not that familiar. I wasn't sure if she was the abortion queen from Texas or if that was that lady who you just mentioned. That's not one of the big issues for me, so I wasn't. I really shouldn't be qualified to speak on that one. So I'll let you guys.
I'm seeing here on Twitter as Obama delivers State of the Union, controversial Kentucky clerk Kim Davis is in a gallery thanks to ticket from Ohio Representative Jim Jordan. So there, at least that's coming out. What do you make of it, Shawn?
Okay, I remember that story, but it just wasn't something that I was all that passionate about. So we'll kick it over to Shawn, I suppose.
Right. I was very passionate about it from the standpoint of that you should not lock somebody up for something like that. I mean, that's insane to me. That with my teaching and things like that, I mean, we shouldn't be locking up, probably 90% of the people we do. Considering what we can do, but to lock somebody up for that it's just so frightening, the power, again, that they have to be able to do things like that. Should she be there? I mean, I don't know, it's kind of a statement thing like that. And Jim Jordan's usually pretty good. But I probably would have refrained from inviting her. I mean, she doesn't offer anything really up other than she held to her convictions in the face of a bunch of cameras and protesters and things like that. But I don't know if that's enough of a reason to give her a seat there. It was an interesting story. She should not have had that job if she was unable to carry out the duties of it, if she refused to. And she's an elected official, and the voters have a way to be able to impeach her on that type of thing when they're an elected official. So that probably should have been left to the people. But I don't have an issue with her being there. I wouldn't have done it. It's an interesting story. She should not have been locked up for what she did, and that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, and if you're going to change the rules in the middle of the game and force them out and say you can no longer do this position, it kind of seems like you should have some sort of exemption provision where it's like, all right, if you choose to fire this person, you can't, and you can give them an equivalent job and they can do another job elsewhere. I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. And the flip side of it is, why is government involved in this in the first place? That's a hard
Correct.
argument for me to really come down hard on in defense of traditional marriage. I mean, I was raised a Christian. I do believe that the definition of the word marriage, it is what it is. I support civil unions. This is never a popular opinion for some reason. I don't know why people don't understand, but I make the analogy with gardening. You can grow an onion, you can grow some carrots. So you have onions on one side, carrots on another side. None of the onions or carrots are better than the other. None are, they're both equally nutritious and providing minerals, nourishment to the body. They both have green tops when they grow. They both need water. They both need sun. They both need aeration in the soil. I don't know why it's so tough to just say that's a civil union and this is a marriage. To me, just define it something different and great. There's two people that want to look after each other for the rest of their lives. More power to them. If there's a God, if that God cares about this type of thing, let that God talk to those two people at the end of it all. Seriously, I have so much other stuff going on in this world. Yeah, I find it hard to give a damn about that, frankly. Do your thing.
Yep.
Do your thing, and I'll do mine. One is a carrot and one's an onion. I don't want to redefine onions to make them all carrots or vice versa. It's just, yours is a civil union, because there's already a word called marriage, and it's already a man and a woman, but here, same rights and same protections, and go. I don't know. I'm surprised.
I agree. Yeah, just call it a civil union or AKA a gay marriage, but officially it'll be known as a civil union. I don't know why there's a problem with that either. That just doesn't make any sense.
What say you, Shawn?
Well, I see both sides of it. Again, from my standpoint, is that the government shouldn't be involved in any of it anyway. I mean, civil union or otherwise. I mean, people want to enter into a contract and things like that, and a company wants to enter into a contract with their employee on how they would divide benefits up and things like that. That's none of my business whatsoever. Two people want to, get married or enjoy that union or call themselves a civil union. That's just fine with me.
Yeah, I could understand that. Well, hey, let's bounce to this Undercover Common Core video. I'm just going to let it speak for itself. Maybe I'll pause it intermittently. It goes about a minute. There's so much good footage here. I could play the whole thing. I'm just going to play a clip for fair use purposes, YouTube. So don't flag this damn thing. Jeez, these guys in the TPP and just trying to censor you every step of the way. It's incredible. But anyway, this is information. Let's get the right background here. Shawn, do you know enough of the background to kind of set this up for people?
I do. Keith had talked about this on Alex Jones' show a few months ago, that he was going to release a video about education. I was kind of hoping that it would be about Common Core, and it turns out that it was. But he's able to get a few Brooklyn or New York City school teachers on camera. I didn't see much of that. But he did get a high-up account executive with like the second largest school book publishing company in the country on tape, talking about the fact that, it's not about education of the kids, it's all about money, and the fact that they have a lobby that's able to now, because of Common Core, only certain textbooks are going to be able to be printed. And of course, I'm sure the lobbyists give plenty of money to the government to decide what's going to be in those textbooks, and that they're going to be the ones that get to print those textbooks. So it's crony capitalism at its worst. It's exactly why we're in the state we're in. That's exactly why Solyndra got, however many hundreds of millions of dollars and things like that. And, when I texted with Blake about it to ask him if he had seen it yet, it pisses me off as a father of two kids, knowing that in a couple short years my kids are going to be in school, in public schools. It's frightening. It really is frightening. And like you said, it's a 7.5 minute video that you have to see. I'm sure the minute does it more than enough justice.
Yeah, and there's no need for these things to cost this much, except for the government being involved in cronyism that's artificially jacking it up. I mean, if Martha Stewart goes to jail for trading a couple of shares that she thinks is going to go down, what do you do to the people that are rigging this system to artificially inflate the prices of these textbooks to scam all the middle class people who are trying to give their kids a better life than themselves? What happens to those people, those politicians, when they're busted doing this, in this scheme to keep things as expensive as possible and education as difficult as possible? If there's one thing we should just okay, animal abuse and intentionally trying to make it more difficult to keep our nation's kids informed, intelligent, bright, free thinkers. I think we should kind of be able as a nation, red or blue or right or left, to kind of agree on those things. But yeah, let's let the video play for itself here. I'll play a clip at a time.
Again, money.
You seem like you're in it for the kids, though. You seem like,
I hate kids.
I hate kids.
All this is so new to me, and what I've seen is money between the publishing companies, the Common Core publishing companies, and the schools.
Joke.
Is that true?
Bullshit. And the thing is,
Now this is the teacher. She says it's a joke. It's bullshit.
what they do is they create some new system that sucks, sell more books, and then we have to learn something new, and the student, it's bullshit. It's all about the money. What are you, crazy? It's all about the money. You don't think that the educational publishing companies are in it for education, do you? No, they're in it for the money.
The publishing companies are the winners in this game.
We can stop it right there. Blake, what's your take on this? Shawn was saying he's a father of two kids. I am not. I'm a father of a cat. As a non-father, but someone that watches over this stuff, what's your take on this?
I've never been a fan of Common Core. I don't recognize the Federal Department of Education. I think that's a big scam, and it disgusts me that like the state schools, waiting, they can't get money from the Fed unless they adopt their disgusting programs. I say let the states compete. I want to see that. And and it probably has something to do with making money off these textbooks, and also probably an ulterior motive of even dumbing these kids down. When you get to the highest levels, and you look at the work of Charlotte Iserbyt during the Reagan administration, kind of digging into that and the way that they were teaching the kids. They're not really educating them as like they should, and teaching them critical thinking skills. They're just kind of messing them up now. And so Common Core is unpopular, and kudos to O'Keefe for exposing this mess. So hopefully something will be done there.
I actually talked with Laura Eisenhower about this yesterday, about growing up in the schools and knowing how quick did you realize you didn't fit into this system. You were getting in trouble and going to the principal's office. You were this, that, and the other, because they were just trying to smash you into a predetermined lump of clay, and I didn't want to be smashed that way. To kind of sum it up as quickly as possible, there's a lot of people that resent being turned into worker bee drones, being turned into just cogs in a machine. I mean, is that something, Shawn, that you're considering with your children, whether you're going to homeschool, whether you're going to private school, whether you're going to participate in the PTA or get involved on that level? What do you do with kids? How do you...
Well, that'll be... we'll end up sending them, but that'll be the piece, is that to be involved, run for school board, things like that, get involved at that level. Don't miss a PTA meeting. Let them know what you think. And don't get me wrong, I don't have any issue with the textbook lady saying it's all about the money. That's what their job is. Their job is to make money, this textbook place. But it's not made in a fair way. It's made in a way that, the textbook publisher gets some inside information, or they get the crony piece of it through the government, and that's how they make their money. And I have no problem with them competing on the open market, and the best textbook wins out in the school, and the teachers decide, hey, we really like this for math, or we really like this. I don't have an issue with them making $1 trillion if they're putting a product out there and they're not getting some weird free government kind of information,
my concern on that, Shawn, is, okay, I get that, and let the open market do that, of course, when they're so linked up and the decision-making process is controlled by your buddy who you've already bought off. That makes it a little different. But really, how many times do we need a new book to explain math? It's not going anywhere. And if you tried to do that double plus one Common Core math crap yet, I sat there looking at it. I'm a fairly intelligent, quasi above average on the intellectual scale. Now I'm sounding stupid as I'm trying to figure out some big words here. But I'm a pretty smart dude, okay? I'm a smart dude. And I'm sitting here looking at this, and I've done plenty of math problems over the day and little mind tricks and Sudoku and all these things, and I'm sitting here looking. I'm going, okay, so how do you answer this? And they're trying to explain it to me, and I'm just baffled. I probably spent 15 minutes trying to understand I go, so you're guessing? You just guess, and then you don't get, no, but that's guessing. No, but it's, okay. I spent about 10-15 minutes, and I walked away with a headache and went, why in the world did this need to be redone to explain this to kids? Why do you need a new textbook with a new way to do math? The old way worked just fine. Am I becoming a fuddy-duddy? Or
no, you're exactly right. And
because Bill Gates loves your children. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I have friends.
You think he could have bought them? You think he could have just paid for it all if he really cared that much?
Oh yeah, Bill Gates loves them. Of course, thank you, Mr. Gates. May I have some more? No, it's just very weird. I didn't need a new textbook for this, and if you can get this stuff digitized and you just say, hey, we're going to buy this as a school, and we're going to keep it for a decade, the content's not going to change. It's how you teach math. Like, seriously, how much is history changing in a decade? You can have an updated current events history thing covering from 2012 to 2015 every 3 years or something, but why do we need to keep finding new expensive ways to make education difficult for the kids? That's where I jump in and just, I can't understand it.
Yeah, and as somebody who, I teach the soft sciences kind of thing with the social sciences, so the benefit for me with having multiple choices in books is when I decide stuff for my classes is that I get to look at several different options and I can decide the one that best fits my style of teaching and what I think the best way to learn is and things like that. So it works out very well for me to have multiple options.
Okay.
If somebody just said, here's the book on juvenile justice, or here's the book on alternatives to incarceration, or whatever other courses I teach, that would be pretty difficult for me, because again, everybody has different learning styles. I know what my style is. I know the style of book that I prefer. So to have those options out there has been nothing but beneficial to me.
Now, I would wonder on that same point, then, okay, just like we don't want to cram all the students into the same box, all right, give the teachers the ability to pick the book.
Yes,
okay,
exactly right.
Fine. Now I get where you're going there. Now let me take it a step from there then. Then once you as a professor pick it, shouldn't there be some sort of limitation that could lock you into, I don't know, for example, let's say if you decide you're going to pick a book, you're going to pick it and you have to keep it for 4 years. You have to, or does all the information change so drastically in 4 years that we have to we have to go through the new groundbreaking research into protons and neutrons because it's totally upside down and the world is flat all of a sudden? Or 7 times 7 is not 49. It's something a little different. We got to dig a little deeper.
Sure, when you're speaking about the hard sciences, you're exactly right. I mean, you made a perfect point. I mean, 7 times 7 is always 49. You don't need 15 different books to choose from. There are different, again, approaches to how to teach students and things like that. But I don't teach that, so I can't speak to those books. And I can only speak to college level books on the ones I select. But in the social sciences, it doesn't change that rapidly. And the same information ends up in the book, in most of the books. But again, it's just the different types of, what other multimedia options do I have and things like that. And I wouldn't have an issue with them saying, hey, if you select this book and we're going to buy a gross of them, you have to keep this book for however many years. Luckily, the place I teach is a little more flexible than that. I can select the book and they only order a very small number of them from the publisher. So it doesn't end up costing the student, it's not something inexorbitant and things like that. So I've been lucky with that.
Well, and with everything being on Kindle and stuff, the digital forms, and it can be so much cheaper. You don't need to go buy a $130 book if you can just download, you click this thing, and then all of a sudden fine, pay your $5, $10, $15, $20 for the ebook if you need to. But you shouldn't be forced into hard copies. You shouldn't be forced into it's just a way to scrape money off the top. And basically, I'll just leave it at, I can't wait to watch the last 6.5, 7 minutes of this video. It's on Veritas Visuals. I'll put it right now onto the New American Media. It's on our Facebook feed now. You can go there and find it. Blake, something also kind of breaking today. You definitely alerted us to the Rams coming back to Los Angeles during our previous segment. But right now, breaking, 10 American sailors were being held in Iranian custody after 2 small U.S. naval craft entered Iran, the territorial waters surrounding Iran, defense officials said Tuesday. Secretary of State John Kerry told CNN's Dana Bash that he expected the sailors to be released very soon, but would not be more specific. He was speaking at the Capitol ahead of the president's State of the Union address tonight. So, on the day of the State of the Union, this happens in Iran. What do you make of this? Do you think it's just some sort of coincidental, no big deal thing, or should we really be concerned about relaxing sanctions against this nation, or do you feel like President Obama is he's on their team, doing this intentionally to weaken us and maybe something even much more sinister down the road?
That's a good question because it's a news story, so I haven't haven't really dug into it a whole lot yet. So I guess I'll be looking for updates, and we'll see if he addresses it during the State of the Union. I don't know. I guess I don't really know if I like his dealings with Iran or this nuclear agreement. It sounds like we got a pretty lousy deal, and they didn't get the hostages that we already had there. And, as much as it'd be okay to work at some kind of negotiation with Iran, I don't know if nuclear is even the way to go these days. And they could find some other method, especially after Chernobyl and Fukushima. We've had problems, so why would we want to deal with that? And then with their wacky ideology, they got some good people that are stuck under a horrible regime over there. So, and all the money they're getting. This I just don't like anything this president does. So I don't trust anything he does. And I don't know how this is going to work out or what's going on with it. So you guys are going to have to fill me in on what this story is all about.
What about you? Do you feel are you comfortable, Shawn, in the purity of heart of President Barack Obama and his interest for America and Americans on a global stage, or have you reached the point, as some people have, basically that this president is either completely incompetent or intentionally trying to take us down? It's becoming harder and harder to not be able to look at one or other of the options and say, well, it's either this or this. I mean, it might be a third option, but I've kind of narrowed it down here. What do you make about Obama's global leadership? Do you think he's bungling a bunch of things? Do you think he's doing a great job? I guess that's your third option. Or do you think he's doing this intentionally and the worst is yet to come?
Well, I can promise it's not the third option. I'm sure it's somewhere far the other side of that. The thing that's interesting to me is that the nuclear deal should have never even been talked about until they said, give us the people that you're holding back. That should be you walk in the room and that's what you should say, is that this negotiation won't start until you give us our people back that you're holding. And then from there, if they want to negotiate, and I'm with Blake, it's a little spooky to me that they want to have, what's the real reason they want to have nuclear, things like that. But again, you have to start negotiating from a position of strength where we're not going to even talk to you until X happens, and the X should have been the release of these people. And the fact that he didn't, and then was so proud of himself after the deal, and those people are still sitting there, it doesn't surprise me that this. I don't know how long these guys are going to sit. I could see Iran holding them for weeks and then just saying, well, this just is what it is. You know what I mean? It just doesn't.
Well, and it's kind of weird, though, because, President Obama does actually, for all the grief I give him, he does have a pretty good record of making deals. Like, just look at Bo Bergdahl.
I was going to say Bergdahl and the Guantanamo prisoners. There's no track record of Obama doing any good anywhere, whether it's Libya or Egypt or Syria or Afghanistan or Iran. You can just go down the line. Everything he has touched he has done damage. Or dealing with Russia, Ukraine, Crimea. You name a country and he has messed it up. And I have no confidence in this president, and I can't wait for this regime to be over.
Do you guys think that this is these types of moves are that fundamental transformation that he talked about right before his first election in 2008? Because I think it is. When he said that, we're 5 days away, we're going to fundamentally transform, and he certainly has done that. So in that sense, he has succeeded. And I don't know, Brian, I think you're right. There's the two options. I don't know how you can see it as anything other than by design. The groups they've backed, the ways they've intervened in some countries, and you're selling guns here and you're doing this. It's just unbelievable.
ISIS, Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Here's the clip what you're talking about.
Moderate Syrian rebels.
Moderate Syrian rebels. Successful Cleveland Browns seasons. All right. Anyway, here's the quote that you're referencing.
We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
Man, he had a lot more bass in his mixing board back in those days when he was going for the Martin Luther King kind of, like you get Hillary in the South and you listen to her and her stupid drawl and pandering. You go, oh my God. Yep. But this is the type of stuff that used to work back in the 40s and 50s and 60s. This is the old guard. This is the crap they used to do and get away with. So, it's just obvious to us now because we can instantly see a Periscope or a Snapchat or something on Facebook or something on Twitter from when somebody was in Tuscaloosa last night. Listen to what this clown said. Listen to this. And the next day you have 1.7 million people that have seen it. And it's a lead story on Fox and Friends, or Stephen Colbert's talking about it in his monologue. This is the old guard. This is the same old crap that we've been putting up with for so long. And it's funny, you sometimes hear some of the Democrats, whether it's Wasserman Schultz or these other clowns, just trying to put out there that there's a lack of diversity on the Republican side. And you would laugh if it wasn't so absurd. They literally have two 70-plus-year-old old guard, no idea, geriatric white people, which is the worst of all of it, by the way. They're up there trying to be this new regime, this voice of a new generation, like a Pepsi commercial, and they're farting dust. It's pretty incredible. Blake, tell me about the article you wrote about. Is it time to jump on the Trump bandwagon based on what you're seeing on the Democrat side and not much to choose from over there?
Well, it's that, but it also goes along with the snubbing of of Rand Paul and Carli Fiorina in the next debate. We got the big the first first caucus is in Iowa. It's the big bellwether for the nation, and they're specifically targeting two people and saying, "Oh, your poll numbers aren't high enough," even though the numbers are pretty negligible, if I can say that right, at that point. So I don't know how they're getting away with this stuff. And then you're looking at the characters in there, and you're thinking, well, of the people that are in the Republican field, those should be they should be up there, and you shouldn't really snub anybody until we've had one opportunity to see what the real results are. I mean, these are just these polls, these telephone polls. Who knows how they reflect reality in real life, and you got to give them all one more shot, and then you can start basing your future debates off the real results, not off these random phone calls or however they conduct these polls. It's not fair. It's ridiculous, and they're robbing these people, and especially with Rand Paul, who's going to have a good following in Iowa. He's already got precincts. He's got a big ground game going on there. He's got some momentum there. So why would they? I mean, I don't even want to get into the reasons why, but it just seems it's totally out of line. Doesn't make any sense. And the Democrats are totally wacky. So I did just throw some points out there, and the possibility. I mean, if you take Rand Paul away, who I think is would be my favorite. Then there's the real possibility that you back me into a corner. I will jump on the Trump bandwagon. He's not, McCain. He's not Romney. He's somebody I could get behind if I need to, and so I'm ready to join if and that's it. If so, we'll see how this thing plays out. Hopefully they let these two candidates appear on the main stage and let them make their final case, and we'll go from there.
What say you, Shawn?
Well, I mean, it was a great article that Blake wrote. I read it this afternoon when I saw that he linked to it.
Sure.
It was really good. It was really well done.
Yeah, I'm going to embed that on the New American Media and send that out as soon as we process the show, by the way, as well.
Yeah, and Brian, you had said about on one of these programs maybe a month ago or so, if I recall correctly, you said that people like the concept of Hillary Clinton. If I'm wrong there, let me know.
Yeah, the people are voting for the concept of Hillary Clinton to cross it off their social agenda checklist. Yep. It's,
I wonder if we're caught up a little in the concept of a Donald Trump. And I don't have an issue with that concept. I actually support that concept. To have somebody from the outside that really, not that he's not beholden to anybody, because they all are, but to have somebody from the outside that's just straight up ain't a politician, somebody that, is just not it from that area. I could get behind the concept of it. Is he the best representative of that? I don't think so. I could think of several other people that I'd rather vote for, and it would be nice to have a third-party candidate that was from the outside that could get some momentum. But I like the concept of a Donald Trump because we can see. I mean, I just saw it just now on Drudge. I mean, Reuters rolling, having it at 39%, and Cruz is second at 14.5%. I mean, he's just kicking ass all over the place, all the polls. And if you look at some of the internal data on, different diverse populations that would vote for him, I mean, we could end up with a crazy Reagan-esque landslide if Trump somehow.
That's right. I saw what was it, Art Laffer? Is that the one who came out with that a couple days ago?
Yep.
He was saying that he could easily see one in 45, 46, 47 states in a massive landslide. But then again, I thought that could have happened in the last election. Sure enough, this guy gets it again. I couldn't believe the nation wanted 4 more of this stuff.
I think when it came down to it, I mean, the media did their job. They said, here's a evil rich white guy in Romney. But I mean, I
can't stand that he was white, by the way.
I know, that's the worst part.
I
hate him for it.
You know what? Seriously, our country has had so many white presidents. It is just insane.
Yep.
Our country, white people are the worst. There's nothing but. By the way, I'm kind of channeling my inner Gavin McInnes. He plays these different. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He's been on Red Eye and on a whole bunch of stuff.
But I'm very familiar with him. I haven't seen Red Eye in a while since they've changed the format up a little bit. But
he becomes these characters.
He's still a good character on there.
Yeah, he becomes all these different characters. He's on so many different web series and so many different websites and shows. And but anyway, he kind of becomes this radical far leftist Che Guevara shirt wearing hipster doofus. And just railing about how white people are so bad. But no, I mean, really, we've reached the point where this president has been pushing to make it so that white people are bad. I find it ridiculous. It was so refreshing to talk with Larry Elder a couple days ago and hear from him some of the most commonsensical, well thought out, clever, introspective points and commentary on race relations in America, because I'll tell you what, if people were to just believe that everybody that looked like Obama thought like Obama, it would be a very depressing place.
Well, yeah, and you look at the fact, I mean, just the Democrat Party, their history, and the party of the KKK, the party of segregation, the party of anti-civil rights. I mean, it's been brilliant over the past 50 years how they've been able to just completely flip reality and sell this idea. It's fascinating to me that people they have no idea how evil that party was, 50 years ago, and what they stood for 50 years ago, and what their platforms were, and how the things they did to minorities, just disgusting. But they're brilliant, salesmen. They found a way to flip it around, and all of a sudden everybody's going, yeah, you're right. That evil Republican, man, I can't believe they were like that. It's just fascinating to me.
Yeah, Blake.
Yeah, Lyndon B. Johnson. Yeah, Lyndon B. Johnson was pretty openly a racist. It seemed to me.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, he just wanted to push all that civil rights stuff and make all these people voters.
Yep.
Was really the agenda there. Well, although I do kind of consider myself to be like a Jefferson or JFK Democrat, but I have nothing in common with today's party, which has no identity and has gone so far left that. I don't even know what they are. I don't think anybody does. Not even their own party knows what their identity is.
Well,
but it certainly has nothing to do with JFK or Thomas Jefferson.
No, but you see Bernie Sanders coming on strong. Shawn, do you think Bernie could actually overtake Hillary to be the nominee? Do you think Hillary might get prosecuted? If she does, is Biden jump in? What do you make of that whole situation?
I could see her getting indicted, and I could see. I mean, Biden's already come out and said he regrets it every day, and he's only a year younger than Bernie, if I remember right.
That was fascinating to me too. I saw that and went, "Oh, Biden wants in. I think Hillary's going down." And I kind of think the Obama administration's trying to take Hillary out. I don't think they like each other. Call me crazy.
They hate each other. I think
You're right.
I think he used her to be able to help sell himself, and I think. To try and sell the party going forward, because I probably think that the Democrats realized they didn't have anybody else to put up except Hillary in 2016, so they brought her along and had her hold some high office and things like that. Not that she did a good job at all with selling arms in Benghazi and all that, but I could see
moderate rebels.
Go ahead.
Yeah, moderate rebels.
Oh yeah. I mean, I could see Bernie overtaking her, especially if the indictment comes down, and I think Bernie would be Biden too, to be honest with you. At that point, I mean, Move On just announced that they're going to they're supporting Bernie. Not surprising, but still,
that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge thing. I mean, it's a lot of money and a lot of people that they pay a lot of $10 an hour wages to go knock on doors and get people to sign up illegally to vote. So, I could see him overtaking her, and I would love nothing more than to see a Cruz or a Trump debate Bernie or Hillary, because it would just be an absolute massacre. And those are really the only two on the right that I could consider voting for, would be Cruz Rand Paul, of course, but I just don't think they've screwed him over so bad. I don't think he's even going to have a chance to.
Well, and don't forget Rand, he cut the deal with the devil. He was the one that endorsed. He turned his back on his dad's campaign and endorsed elsewhere, and he's been playing the game. He's been told, "Hey, kid, we can either destroy you, or you can kind of come here and let me show you a few things. We'll groom you for this position, and look what they've done to him. And
I love Rand Paul, but when he endorsed McConnell and all that, that was just like, oh, come on, man, like that's the one thing you don't need to do, you know?
Yeah, he doesn't need. He keeps his credibility. McConnell gains credibility. It would be a better scene. It was poorly handled.
He's a fellow Kentuckian senator. I understand. Yeah, but he does.
He's in a bad spot. He's in a bad position at that point. I get it, you know, and he wants to have a more prominent role in the RNC nationally. And Blake, when we were at Politicon and got a chance to talk to Michael Steele, I kind of named that as the moment when I just stepped away. Michael Steele, of course, who used to be the RNC chair, and I just said, when Ron Paul was done dirty by the RNC and they changed the rules of the game. So even though he won a plurality of 5 states delegates, he won enough delegates in 5 states to qualify for an automatic convention speech. They literally traded his time for an empty chair with Clint Eastwood. It could not be any more obvious that was a big middle finger to everybody, saying we're in power. Don't you dare mess with us. We have our system, and you're not going to work your way around us. This belongs to us. Thank you very much. It was a very obvious moment, so therefore, for that reason, people like me that have just abandoned, the Republican Party. I've never voted Democrat. I've understood the laissez-faire approach and libertarian leanings of the Democratic Party when it comes to social issues. Hey, you know what? Maybe that's the better of 2 bad options of policy choice, but in a country this large with so many different opinions, I think allowing a lot of these social decisions to come down to the individual and let them sort it out with God afterward, I kind of think that's the best way to govern the nation, although I'm personally a lot more personally conservative on some of these things. But it's the Democrats, the Republicans. I've never really understood why someone would vote Democrat other than those social issues. And the phrase "keep the Democrats out of the boardroom and keep the Republicans out of the bedroom," and that just rings so true to me right now. I was saying to Larry Elder the other day that I wish I could do a Build-A-Bear candidate. That I wish I could dress him up the way I want, and put these ears on, Mr. Potato Head. Here, put this lips. Put these these glasses. Here's your hat. Here, put these arms on. I like a lot. I like a couple of things about a lot of these candidates. It's like I wish I could get Trump's fighting spirit with some of Fiorina's polish. I wish I could get some of Christie's experience with some of Rand Paul's constitutionally protected civil rights
philosophies.
The philosophies. Christie did a lot of good things, but now he's pro NSA, and it's like, no, Rand Paul is just against the massive spy apparatus, but the experience of being in law enforcement, maybe there's a different way to balance that. It's like, nobody's ever said you can't get information, but you need a judge to actively look at. There has to be charges against you. I think that's the main component where a lot of people say, no, you're not just making a random sweep of everything and then determining after the fact if you have a criminal. You got to actually have evidence in order to then start snooping around, and it's backward. So I like some of these things about the different candidates. I like a lot about Cruz. I'm not in his camp yet. I like about Trump a lot about Trump, but I'm not in his camp yet. I don't have a candidate particularly in this election, and it makes it interesting as we move forward, trying to figure out who we're ultimately going to back. And like you were saying, Blake, you wrote the article today. Is it time to jump on the Trump bandwagon? We will embed that. We'll put that at the opinion page, the opinion section at thenewamericanmedia.com, and we'll send it out on Twitter at American_media_. We'll put it out on Facebook, so you can do a search for The New American Media and like the page, or grab it off the right-hand side of thenewamericanmedia.com, which is our homepage, and, of course, subscribing at youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. Shawn, it's time to go watch this State of the Union. Do you have any final words, or do you have any place where you would like people to stay in touch with you in the interwebs?
Well, I'd like, as we go forward here, I'm hoping I can get on Blake's website with some blogs and things like that, but and maybe I'll be invited back here. This was a lot of fun. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, and we can do this again because pick any day of the week and you just scroll through some of the headlines, and it's unbelievable stuff every single day. Blake, tell us about your project, about what you're looking to accomplish, the best ways to stay in touch with you. Talk about your project and then the best ways to stay in touch.
Well, it hasn't started yet, but I'm hoping to be in Iowa in a couple of weeks for the first caucus, and then make my way around the South and the East Coast, catch some of the major events, some of the debates, a few of the caucuses, the big conventions, Republican, Democrat, Philly, and Cleveland. Maybe you can join me out there, Brian, for Cleveland or what have you. So we'll try to cover things on the road, try to run a daily podcast, try to devote as much time as I can to media work, blogging and vlogging and podcasts and memes and articles and all that good stuff, and try to hopefully make an impact and cause some influence on the election out there. I think it is one of the most important elections of our history, and I want to be involved in it as much as I can.
All right. Well, then, like I said, Blake and Shawn, thank you both for joining the program. Shawn, we'll see if we can do another one of these soon. And Blake, like I said, we'll put your article on thenewamericanmedia.com on the opinion section. Check out his blog, eccentricperspective.com, and also follow him on Twitter at eccentric99. Thank you guys both for joining us.
Thank you, Brian.
And yeah, for everybody out there in the TNAM radio universe, it's been a really interesting opportunity that we've been afforded. Thankfully, we've been afforded because of the wonderful advancements in technology. We're able to instantly communicate with each other. It's beautiful. I recommend highly that you consider devoting at least a little bit of your day, every single day, toward the cause of freedom and liberty, and standing up for those that can't stand up for themselves, and exposing corruption, and just trying to help come up with a way that we can all kind of get along on this planet and have a good time and not have to worry about murder and starvation and death and crime and pollution and all the garbage. That's what government's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be about hating your neighbor. It's supposed to be about looking at your neighbor and going, hey, we live on the same street. How do we make this the most kick-ass street possible? It's a big world out there, and not everybody in the world is an awesome person, so you got to maintain security while respecting individual rights. That's what we try to advocate here at the New American Media, and especially here on Agree to Disagree. So once again, thank you all for listening. My name's Brian Engelman. I appreciate you. I love you. We're going to go check out some of the State of the Union information. Congratulations to the Alabama team for winning your championship. Next year, go Buckeyes. Talk to you later. Peace.
Hi, everybody. You're listening to Agree to Disagree with Brian Engelman, and this is John B. Wells reminding you that not only is Brian Engelman a cool guy, and not only is the newamericanmedia.com a very cool platform, but here's a cool idea for you, too. Are you alone? Not really. Do you like dogs? Do you like cats? You do. Of course you do. Everybody does. One or the other, maybe even both. There are a lot of dogs and cats that are at shelters right now, and if somebody doesn't take them home, they're going to wind up euthanized. That's a nice way of saying they're going to be killed, because there's simply not enough room. I guarantee it, the best dogs and the best cats, the best pets, come from shelters. There's something about dogs and cats. They know. They know where they are. You walk through one of them, and certainly at least one is going to look at you and go, I wish you'd take me home. I'm in hell. Please take me out of here. It'll be the best thing that you ever did for your soul. You'll feel good about it. And not only that, but you have a friend for life. Doesn't matter if you got money, you don't have money. Well, it doesn't make any difference to a dog or cat. All they need is the sound of your voice and maybe even the stroke of your hand, and they're fine. Maybe a little food every once in a while. The sweetest sound that those pets ever hear is your voice. Think it over and adopt a cat or a dog from a local shelter today. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did.